What is up, everyone, and welcome back to Warhammer Dark Omen. We are on mission 19 and we are closing out chapter 3. We have arrived and we will be taking on the Hand of Nagash. There is another animated cutscene to fill you with fear, so without further ado, let's get this underway.
Undead forces have been sighted up ahead.
So, you finally arrived, Commander. Much too late, as usual.
Ah, you called me Commander. You're learning.
The Hand has been freed from the glacier by the enemy. Thanks to your tardiness, the Undead legions have mustered in greater numbers. Now what are you going to do?
This is what comes of delaying to fight alongside an outlaw like Muntz. And you lost even more time aiding Ragnar against a mob of witless trolls. I thought I taught you better than that all those years ago.
The Hand must be destroyed at all costs. Sound the attack!
So, what is up, everyone? Now, this mission is an important mission. It's a mission against the Hand of Nagash, and based on the choices that you make, this battle is affected. So, as you know, we were being accused of being late because we spent so much time elsewhere. The Hand of Nagash has now been spawned in, and we had the pleasure of putting it out of its misery. Now, if you lose this battle, and Morgan doesn't die, you can progress through the story, and the Hand of Nagash will be present, I understand, in the very final battle. Sorry, I'm rambling a little bit, having to compose my thoughts. So, this is actually one of the easier battles. It introduces more concepts of the super units, so we had Count Karstein earlier as a sort of super Necromancer, for lack of a better way of saying it. And now the Hand of Nagash is basically a super Chariot that also can cast magic, and it'll be a problem. But this mission is quite straightforward because you have the high ground. And as you can see, with good ground targeting, you can get very good shots from quite far away. Our priorities are the Horseman, and as you can probably see on the minimap, the 3 skulls in a horizontal thing, those are Chariots. We'll be prioritising them too. So you need a smaller regiment, but a capable regiment of holding the left-hand flank, or the western flank. But they do need to have a magical item, because as you can see, that's the flank that Wraiths are advancing.
Enemy sighted!
So
Aye, sir.
even though those are cavalry, and cavalry are meant to be super tough, they're really not that threatening because you can get such good shots from the high ground. And with the wizard on place on the eastern flank, he just does so much damage that they're not really too much of a problem. I'll be using those 2 laser-like beams to control a lot of units and also target the ground in rage. It's a particularly useful way of dealing with the likes of skeleton chariots.
Target destroyed.
Because they will walk right through the entire beam and take a significant amount of damage, and sometimes you can one-shot them if you get lucky. As you can see, getting the diagonal across infantry regiments is hilariously powerful. So the crossbowmen are basically my super unit at the moment, even though I charge the ogres in the wrong way. They're holding the banner of arcane warding and the shield of Tolos. So that's why they're kind of just ignoring the Necromancer charging at them. They're not particularly stressed out. They can trade with ranged units and they can trade with a Necromancer, which is why I can put them on that flank like that and not be too scared. Now the Flagellants are struggling because I didn't level them up. We've talked about this in the comments a few times. A lot of my infantry units don't get as much experience because I make the mistake of funneling too much experience onto my cavalry.
Target received.
And what that ends up actually doing is making it so that when they get into these fights, they take a lot of damage. And as you can see, the banner of arcane warding is amazing. It just reflected that back at the Necromancer and dealt with him for us.
Yes, my lord. Yes, my lord.
Now I'm just going to reposition the western flank, but now there's a lot more still on the field to deal with, including the chariots. So now that the first wave has crashed into us, we're going to start moving up a little bit.
Enemy sighted.
And it is going to get a bit messier.
Protect your flanks. Undead horse and chariot approach.
Morgan is really nice to tell you that there are chariots on the field. We knew that already. But the Hand of Nagash is also alive. So we're trying to hit the trigger to get these units to move forward at us, and we're using Ragnar to do it.
Enemy sighted. Enemy sighted.
Here we go, the enemies are moving, so now we can pull back Ragnar.
Yes, my lord.
Now, I know you're thinking I do a lot of these pulling techniques. They're very good, particularly on this mission, because the one thing the game does give you for once is a defensible position. Quite often, it has you marching into the enemy's high ground and attacking the enemy in a fortified and entrenched position.
Open fire.
For this mission, it gives you the high ground and it gives you the ability to fortify a position. I know this is just a game, but if you know anything about tactics, that's generally a thing you don't want to give up. So, it's kind of what I apply to here, backed up by my cowardice, and I'll admit to being a coward. So, I'm trying to charge this chariot before it charges me.
Hold fire.
And I'm trying to make sure that I don't friendly fire. As I mentioned in the previous videos, skeleton chariots do a significant amount of charging damage. And it goes without saying that if they charged my cannon there, they probably would have just outright killed the cannon. When a skeleton chariot charges first into melee, it deals damage in the form of death, so it actually kills units as it joins the battle.
Target received.
And cannons are not known for being robust, so I get very lucky there in a turn and shoot at point blank range with the cannon. And that's not the only time I do that in this mission either. It happens later in a much funnier circumstance. But otherwise, we're playing largely the same. This is a good level for the Bright Wizard, even though he doesn't need the experience. He is just so powerful that having him chunk down these units means that we don't take much damage.
Target received.
Interesting thing about this game is it becomes very much a balancing act, because although I've got the power to deal with these units now, because the experience is going onto these units, I suffer for it much later on. You'll see just how weak some of my units are by the time we get to the last mission.
Enemy destroyed.
Aye, sir.
We're under fire.
To arms.
So,
Hold fire.
the second wave has crashed into us, and there's only really one more wave to deal with. So with the cannons holding fire, we're going to just charge forward and wipe these archers out. Should be pretty straightforward.
Enemy destroyed.
And then I'm going to forget to give both cannons the hold fire, and take out 3 of my men. And I don't even get the cool infantry scream either, so it was that was for nothing. I'm atrocious at friendly firing, as you've no doubt figured out through the course of this series.
Enemy sighted.
Aye, sir.
So we're trying to pull what remains into combat with us. There should be more archers, Chariot, Wraiths, Hand of Nagash themselves.
Forward.
And that voice line indicates that you've aggroed the Hand of Nagash.
Target received.
Now, you can get lucky in terms of, whilst the Hand of Nagash is significantly stronger in melee combat, the unit's HP or behaviour is very similar to that of a Chariot. So if you can get a cannon shot swipe through the unit, it will one-shot the Hand of Nagash.
Hold fire. Open fire.
Aye, sir.
I'm more concerned with the Chariot and not letting it get so dangerously close to my cannons
Aye,
again.
sir.
Open fire. Enemy sighted.
Aye, sir.
Target received. We're under fire.
So Ragnar is a pretty tough unit, and also the amount of units that a Chariot kills is yet another dice roll. Those of you familiar with the Warhammer games know all about the dice rolls in the actual game.
Attack. Charge. Help us.
Aye, sir.
We fear the enemy.
So getting one there was very lucky, but as you saw, the moment that unit joined the combat,
Charge.
it
Open fire.
Aye, sir.
oh, mage duels are terrifying.
Watch your fire.
Firing at the ground again. But you can see the moment that unit joined combat, just units instantly die, and that's the main threatening mechanic about Chariots, other than the fact that they can fight for a very long time with a seemingly ridiculous HP pool.
We're under fire. Charge. Target received. Hold fire. We're under fire.
So this is the final wave, so we are just cleaning this up. We're going to get the infantry marching down on those archers.
We're under fire.
We would retire and fire with the crossbows, but our crossbows are having a bit of a fun battle. Now, it's a common misconception that units can't cast magic while they're in melee. They absolutely can, the AI just chooses not to half the time. Unless the Hand of Nagash is involved. And then the Hand of Nagash just does
We're
that.
under fire. We fear the enemy.
Aye, sir.
So at this point, I'm feeling very exposed, very vulnerable. So I go for
Aye, sir.
the second Hail Mary shot of the game and get it, and also miss my ogres. That was the epitome of lucky. No friendly fire, one shot the Hand of Nagash. That's the second speedy unit I've dealt with a point-blank cannon shot. I'm not proud that I had to do that, but at the same time I sorted out. So this unit is the last unit alive, and with that we'll be closing out the mission with some pretty scrappy melee.
Enemy destroyed! We are victorious!
So, Mission 19, Chapter 3. Now, I quite like that mission. It's not often that the game actually spawns you with a high ground advantage, and, you know, believe it or not, playing a real-time tactics game with a tactical advantage is super fun. And, you know, it's interesting because you can think about the fact that how you do in this mission affects the grander scale of the entire campaign, and for the time that this game came out, the fact that you could have knock-on effects, you know, we were late and so the unit was already spawned and things like that. It's all very interesting. I know multiple paths and choices is commonplace in gaming now, but less so when this came out. So I really like that, and I really like that that was in a tactics game. Anyway, as always, like, share the video, leave a comment, subscribe, and let me know what you'd like to see me do in future videos. Bye for now.